Hi, Shell Point. I'm Laura Slack, and I'm with my new friend, Carol Strange. And we're here to tell you about something new that I just started doing, and it's like a turtle patrol. So I met Carol a couple months ago, and she was telling me how she does turtle patrol on Sanibel, and it got me so fascinated by it that I started doing it on Cayo Costa. But I'm really new at it, so I wanted Carol here with me so we can explain to you about turtle patrols on the Gulf Coast of Florida. So Carol, tell Shell Point how you got involved in it, and what's the process that you have to do to find the turtle nests and things like that.
Well, it is a great thing to get involved in. If you're in Southwest Florida in the summer, it just makes it fly by. It's such a joy to find these little hatchlings that have chosen our beaches for all these years and come back year after year, lay hundreds of eggs, and then fight all the predators out there in the water, and come back in 30 years after they hatch to lay their own eggs.
So that's fascinating to me that they're out at sea for 30 years before they even come back to lay eggs again. But how do you know on Sanibel especially that a turtle has even come out of the water and laid an egg? What do you see?
You see a wonderful track. It almost looks like a bulldozer has gone along the beach. And it might zig and zag, or it might be very straight into the dune, and it's the turtle carrying that 300-pound body up the way we walk, left and right, the loggerheads, up into the dune to decide where she's going to deposit these little eggs.
And so when you find those tracks on the beach, that's what puts us into action.
Exactly. You follow them to where she makes the turn. And eventually she's going to come back to the water. So what we hope when we walk up her crawl, it's called the turtle crawl, is that she will spread out and dig a body cavity and an egg chamber. The egg chamber is kind of like a light bulb, narrow at the top, wide at the bottom. She uses her flippers, throws the sand so high that it goes over my head if you watch them do it at night. And then she very carefully deposits more than 100 eggs and goes away, never to think about them again.
Isn't that just so strange that the mother turtle just leaves her nest?
She works so hard to build it, but she seems to have no instinct once it's done.
So
her
after
job's finished.
60 days or so, they hatch.
They hatch. And our sign that they have hatched, we mark all of the nests. The Sanibel Captiva Conservation Foundation does a great job of training all those that are interested. Many years ago, Charles LaBeouf, who served on the Sanibel City Council, was the lighthouse keeper on Sanibel, decided that Coretta, the loggerhead turtle, needed a champion, and he started the program. Many others have picked up, and he continues. He just published a new book that just came out this month about the complete story of the turtles that brings it up to date. We basically get mostly loggerheads, and they walk like we do. We also, on occasion, get a larger gait, a green sea turtle, and they do the breaststroke. You can tell their tracks because it's like this. They're parallel. And they really try to confuse us by digging sometimes multiple holes and only depositing eggs in one of them. When we find the crawls, we try by looking at the sand and seeing how it was patted down. Remember, the turtle's job is to hide these eggs from everybody, and she does an amazing job. Our job is to locate just one egg at the top of the chamber. And if we're able to do that, the state will allow us to put a screen over the nest, and that will protect it from the coyotes, the predators that might get in there. Coyotes are relatively new on Sanibel. They came about 8 years ago, and they just wreaked havoc. They seem to have a keen sense of when and where the eggs are going to be laid. I wish I knew what technique they used because it's often difficult to see just where in this mound of sand the eggs are laid. But the trick is to do what Laura's doing, to do it and do it and do it. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I say I learn every single time I do it.
I have learned so much just in the short 2 months that I've been doing it. And what fascinates me is seeing the crawl and then digging all those holes and not finding a single egg and trying to determine what spooked the turtle to go back out to sea.
Change your mind.
Change your mind, and we think it's maybe the coyotes, maybe spooker, and then find another false crawl and another false crawl, which could be the same turtle, we don't know, and then finally find the nest.
We have probably definitely more than twice as many false crawls
As we have nests.
nests.
Oh.
And sometimes you don't, most of the time, you don't really even need to dig. It's quite clear that she's just come up and made a U-turn. She hasn't done any digging around at all. It's when she thinks about it, digs around and looks around, that it's a bit confusing.
And the other thing I find fascinating is that the turtles will tend to come back year after year to the same place and typically to where they were born.
Exactly. When these hatchlings find their way to the water, it imprints, they say, in their brain, and they know where to come back in 30 years. The joy of technology these days is that we are implanting little grain of rice size markers in the mother turtles so that we know where they're going now. And we actually have records that indicate when they were here last and where they're going next.
Well,
There's a system of monitoring them that's very exciting. So we're learning a lot.
It's so fascinating. And then what's happening now is the nests that we found back in early May are hatching. And so I got to find my very first hatch nest, and as we dug it up, there were baby turtles inside.
It's such a thrill to feel like you're rescuing one. When it hatches, I've been fortunate enough to see some hatches that were daytime, and it's like a pot boiling over. You know, they just all go crazy, and of course they're looking for the Gulf.
It's been fascinating because of you and talking about it. It got me interested, and
it's amazing how many do make it, you know, after you put them back in and let them rehatch or re-nest.
And I know I was asking you earlier how many eggs typically survive, and you thought 1 in 1,000?
That's the statistic, the depressing statistic that they pass around, that 1 in 1,000 will actually come back and lay its eggs.
Isn't that crazy?
Incredible.
But you got to think when you're right here on the beach, how the birds and all the fish are waiting for that feast to happen. So, yeah. So Carol, I thank you so much for sharing your knowledge of turtles and talking about it enough to make me want to do it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Then in October, on October 20th, Carol and I are doing a Life Quest program all about the turtle patrol and the turtle crawls for this year. So please, you know, be looking for that information as it comes out. But thank you for joining us today, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today.
Go
Thanks a lot,
Turtles.
Shell Point.
Thank you.